What's going on, guys? Welcome to your 45th C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be talking to you guys about member initializers. Now, I don't even know if I told you guys this, but a member is pretty much a fancy term for anything in your class. So when some people talk about variables, they call them members. It's basically anything in your class is a member of that class. So let's go ahead and let me explain this. We're going to probably have a bunch of variables in our class. Some of them are just going to be regular variables, and some of them are going to be constant variables. So we know constant variables have a couple of weird rules, and creating them is one of the weird rules. So remember, a constant variable is basically a variable that we can't change, and we also have to initialize it using a special it's a special syntax. It's called member syntax. Now, the cool thing is we can also initialize regular variables this way, but you don't have that option of when using constant variables. You have the option of initializing regular variables this way or the way we learned before, but constant variables definitely need to be initialized using member syntax. So let's go ahead and first thing, let's go ahead and make two private variables. I'm going to make one just regular variable because it's going to be an integer variable. Reg var stands for regular variable, and I'm going to make another constant variable. So constant, just make this one an integer as well, and we'll name this one const var. So now we have just a regular double variable and a constant variable. So now what I want to do is whenever we first create our object, let's go ahead and assign a value to this variable and assign a value to this variable. So our constructor is going to take two parameters, one value for this one and one value for this one. So go ahead and just type int a and int b, and we'll be tossing numbers in there later on. But now that we have values assigned to these variables, we're going to need a way to print it out on the screen. So go ahead and we'll make a function called print. Simple enough. So now we have a constructor that takes two values, assigns one to our regular variable, one to our constant variable, and then we'll print it out on the screen. So now we probably need to change our constructor around a bit. The first thing we need to make it do is take those two parameters, int a and int b. Now you're saying, alright, I probably go ahead and in the body, somewhere in here, I'm going to type all that syntax, that special syntax you've been talking about. But check it out. You actually don't write anything in the body. Yeah, think about that for a second. It'll freak you out. You actually don't write any of your code when initializing variables in the body. So you're saying, where the heck do you put it? And this is the weirdest place. You put it in between the parameter list and the beginning of the body. So between the parentheses and the curly brace, this is where you're going to put it. So that's what confuses the most people, and that's why they have a hard time understanding, because usually nothing goes here, but that's where we're going to be putting the syntax. Why they made it go here, I don't know. And the syntax for it was this. The first thing we need is a colon, and the colon tells C++ that we're going to be working with member initializer syntax. Now it's actually quite simple. All you need to do is write your variable name, such as regvar, and inside parentheses you give it an initial value, which this one we're going to be passing it in a. Now whenever you have multiple variables you want to set equal to, the initial value, you just separate them with a comma. It's basically just like a list. So our next variable is const variable, and this one is going to be equal to b. And what people sometimes like to do is put their variables on new lines, but it really doesn't matter. And another thing, make sure that you don't put a semicolon at the end of this. These aren't statements, it's just a list. It knows when you're done because the body is going to begin. So basically, start with a colon and make a list using this syntax: variable, value. If you have another one, separate with a comma, variable, value. So I know it's a really weird syntax, but what this is going to do is we're going to be creating a constructor that takes two values and it's going to be setting them equal to a regular variable and a constant variable. And like I said before, whenever you have a constant variable in your class, this is how you need to do it. Of course, we can set this variable equal to, initialize it like we had before, but, we might as well use this list since we're, learning this tutorial. So now let's just go ahead and make another function, void print, just to print this stuff out on the screen. So void, okay there, void Sally print, and all this is going to do is be like cout regular var is and then just put reg var, and then put constant variable is colon const var, just like that. And now let's go ahead and end that line, and you guys can't even see. Yeah, you guys still can't see. There we go. End line. Definitely spelled that wrong. End that line. So now it's going to print out our regular variable is 10 and our constant variable is 20 or something stupid like that. As long as I spelled this right, let me just double check. Alright, we should be good to go. So now all we need to do is create an object in our main. So let's go ahead and create a Sally object. Just name it SO. And remember, this is a constructor, so it's going to take two parameters. Just make like 3 and 87. Two random numbers. Just make sure they're integers. And now, as soon as we created that constructor, it's going to take 3 and assign it to our regular variable. And it's going to take 87 and assign it to our constant variable. So now regvar equals 3, constvar equals 87. So now when we call that print method, and let me just, I don't like typing stuff on the first line for some reason. So.print, it should print that out unless I forgot a semicolon or something. So let's go ahead and see and check it out. Regular variable is 3, constant variable is 87. Nice spelling right there. That actually does spell variable. Well, I'm close enough. So anyways, one last time, here is what we did. We had a constant variable in our class, this pesky little thing right here. So whenever we have a constant variable in our class, we can't initialize it like before. We need to initialize it in a special way, and that's through the use of member initializers. Whenever you want to create a member initializer list, and basically this is just a fancy term for setting your variables equal to values, you need to make a list in between your parameters and the body of your constructor. And make sure whenever you're making that list to start with a colon. That tells C++ you're going to start making a member list. And just use this syntax, and don't forget to separate each variable with a comma. And then, of course, whenever you create your object, you need to pass it in the two parameters it needed, because right here it said it asked for two parameters. And then later on we can just use those variables in any old function just to print them out, like regular variables blank, constant variable is blank. And then, actually, I'm getting kind of sidetracked. You guys know how this function works. But actually, I want to ask you guys this now that I'm thinking about it. Is there a way to like word wrap? Because like whenever I'm working with this, you see I was going off the screen. Let me know if there's a way to automatically word wrap so you guys, well, I guess I'll just scroll from now on. I don't like my lines of code on new lines anyway, so forget that like the last 30 seconds of this tutorial. But anyways, now that you guys know how member initializers work, yeah, I'm just gonna quit this tutorial now. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.